Welcome once again out of where sign so Shabium in the recent State of the Nation's address President Maham the NPP find it offensive who saying sembi homo President Maham kan especially and some more cars will create 1 million jobs and currently a year and to qua air coso your friends say Iran any US no MPP for say President Mahamani and this in for ye no mumba bontin meka say sa war na ekoso no affect Ghana's economy.
This was set up in Tema. They don't run 24 hours. Gasem, they don't run. Say all sorts of things. The reality is here. Oh. Keep your slogan hearing. You've done 2 State of the Nation addresses already. It's left with 2. And the chicken will come home to roost. Yeah, we'll get to the Israeli one. But let nobody come and tell us that.
Because that one is another war.
Nobody should come and tell us it will affect Ghana.
Because for the time, no, Omoka say Russia and Ukraine and Tokano affect Ghana's economy, no, and this is for say intro. Now, of war, and someone before can low key a Fabino, I don't see the sense they are making. I say, in politics, I was saying focusing on the facts and figures, no. They are rather saying things about Momo party Abenyam. Wutien komo we are NPP say minim so ye MPO so ye den uba NPP ni Egyapa Mercer. And some more there are to jana. Or to me say o didn't come on a shasenoji to mu say whenever there is a war and I say whenever there is this altercation between different countries, so far as Ghana is dependent on some of the nations, no, every nation has its charter oji. But one nipa bakuya wa say twa ka say mema NDC for no man meka say because of the Iran and US war it is affecting our economy. Out of war sa na under the Akufo-Addo government also. Akufo-Addo government lied to the extent of ubisa about the economy saying dollar need to make do 18 cities no more the free SHS any a year Russia and Ukraine war a defend na sad year no and on what to say and on what about one penny Maham so me no ba be just ni mu answer be ko yen nsem make us a new viewer now subscribe to your channel where I may just subscribe like it. Share your comments ni mu share video no na mafoforo into me enhwe bi in an interview course wo media general metre TV3 Egyapa Mercer metre Andrews Egyapa Mercer very die hard NDC person ebedi nkomo bi na wutie nsem wo kan say out of anger can be say President Maham 1 million jobs no kind when created. That's the problem of our politicians. I know more munye no more jiji. President Maham will create 1 million jobs. Now, therefore, where is the data backing it? A Japan Mercer fire on that. Apart from that, no. Or say, me momo make say Russia, your friends say Iran and US war no affecting Ghana's economy. Now, yenti Japan Mercer and somebody to jaw decide. Yeah, ba, mami whose opinion? I will comment.
Have yielded positive results over time. And so when the president presented a State of the Nation address, as has consistently been touted, the reduction in our debt to GDP ratio is a matter of fact. The appreciation of the cedi is a matter of fact. The inflation reduction, or the rate at which prices of goods and services are rising on the market, are matters of fact. Nobody can deny these events. So to that extent, I wasn't surprised what the president sought to do. My only worry was the unbridled politicking and seeking to make it look as if to say he inherited an economy that was not on the path of recovery, that everything was gloom and doom when he came to office, because the data does not support it. Look, we had difficulties under the Akufo-Addo administration. There is a matter of fact that in 2002, thereabout, inflation rose to as high as 54%. And it wasn't peculiar to Ghana. It was global. Of course, the rate in every country differed. America suffered 40-year inflation highs. Germany, UK, everywhere. There were things that triggered it. There was a war that had disrupted global supply chain.
Which war?
The Ukraine-Russian war. It's a matter of fact. In fact, shops in America were rationing toilet roll because of shortages. They tell us that it didn't affect Ghana. But when freight cost increases from average $2,500 to $15,000, tell me which importer will sell their goods that they've imported and paid freight costs that has increased from 2,500 to 15,000 at the same price as 2,500. So it was real. Inflation got as high. But was it 54 when we handed over to them? It had dropped by a 30 percentage point from 54 to 23 when we handed over in December. Of course, it's a trend. It doesn't happen overnight too. It takes time for when you go into an economic difficulty for these things to resolve itself. Okay, let's speak of debt. Yes, we accumulated some debt. In 2017, when we came into office, there were issues that we came to meet. Energy sector debt, that they had contracted excess power. The bills were ballooning. We had slept in darkness for 4 years prior. We needed to pay those bills. Where were you going to get the money from? You had to borrow. You borrow to deal with your banking sector problems that were created by them. The recklessness with which the Bank of Ghana managed our financial sector. You were in government. In fact, you tried to resolve the problem by giving liquidity support to these people. They squandered it. Me, I'm not a member of the Short Memory Association of this country. These are matters of fact. Then we get a pandemic that impacts the entire world in 2020. Government borrowed more. Check your revenue. You are not getting revenue, but your cost had gone high. The president has said to all of us that, look, I have to take difficult decisions, but my prerogative as president of this country is to protect the good people of this country. So I will spend. I know it will come with economic consequences, but those are issues that we can deal with time. It impacted us. Nobody's running away from it. But when we went into the crisis, we proffered solutions that, look, let's increase our revenue.
Which crisis?
The economic crisis that had been compounded post-COVID by this Russian war that had impacted our economy and our economies across the world. Of course, the impact on every country was different. We proposed solutions. Let's increase our revenue, pay some additional levy, and reduce expenditure. All the expenditure reduction measures that were outlined in the 2022 budget. You and I know. We took the tax measures to Parliament. You remember what they did?
Which tax measures?
The e-levy. Such that by the time that we finally came to approve it, we had already breached the Public Financial Management Act, Section 22 of which says that pass your budget, pass your appropriations, and every revenue measure that is going to fund the budget by end of 31st December 2020 of the financial year. We didn't. You think it didn't have implications on our economy? You saw the downgrade because you don't have the revenue to back the expenditures that you had approved. So government was compelled, against the decision that he had taken earlier not to go to IMF, to go. That came with some actions that impacted Ghanaians in a negative way. The debt exchange. We did all the heavy lifting. We suffered politically. You come. You haven't done anything in addition to that.
Nothing has been done.
What they have done, I will come there. Talking the debt exchange. The debt management aspect. All the heavy lifting was done by the Akufo-Addo administration before we left office. The IMF program that had brought about all the measures that were going to restructure our economy were all in place when you came. In fact, we post the restructuring of our debt. We had made 3 payments before you came into government. The Eurobond payments. We had made 3 of them. Yet the president comes to stand there and make it look as if to say he came and he inherited what? All the heavy lifting had been done. Like I said, we made gains. I agree. Gold Board has sought to formalize or deepen what His Excellency Dr. Bawumia and the Bank of Ghana had done through the gold purchase program. Okay? So let it not be said that you came to meet an economy that was in comatose. We had been there. The difficult decisions had been taken. We were on the path of recovery when you came into government. You've kept within the framework of the IMF program that is being run today to improve some of the indicators, no doubt. But you can't give credit. You can't speak the truth. You will focus on the promises that you made to the people of Ghana, the youth of Tumu, Aflao, that you promised them that any of them who was willing and able to find a job under a 24-hour economy, so-called, you are going to give them jobs. The organizer shops and the watches sellers that you told us we were going to buy watching midnight at 2 a.m. You will focus on that. Last year, the president went to stand in front of the people of Ghana and told the entire women of this country that in 120 days, 120 days, the Women's Development Bank was going to be operational. Why is it? Why is it? That's what he promised the women of Ghana last year. 27th February 2025. He promised that he was going to deliver the Women's Development Bank in 120 days. We are here. Your 24-hour economy that you disturb the whole Ghana. Nowhere in this world does the country operate 24 hours. Mr. Maham and his NDC tells us that he is going to be able to do it in this country. Nowhere in this world. Yes, you have some cities.
Which cities?
Cities, UK, London, run some aspect, logistics.
They run 24 hours.
Of course, manufacturing. Ghana, they don't run manufacturing in Tema. You live in Tema. They don't run manufacturing from 1910 when Adisco was set up in Tema. They don't run 24 hours. Gasem, they don't run. Say all sorts of things. The reality is here. Keep your sloganeering. You've done 2 State of the Nation addresses already. It's left with 2. And the chicken will come home to roost. Yeah, we will get to the Israeli one. But let nobody come and tell us that.
Because that one too is another war.
Nobody should come and tell us it will affect Ghana. Because we are immune from external pressures. This country is immune. These people, on the kinds of things that they said, the things that you people said, the people of your hometown are waiting for the jobs. The Formula 133 that you told them that the public service and the private sector are going to be incentivized to run 24 hours, said that every youth who was willing and able to find a job, go and deliver. But otherwise, yeah, Article 67 requirement, he did his constitutional duty. I wasn't impressed at all.
You were not impressed.
What was impressive about what the president said? What was new that we hadn't heard already? What was new? The economy at force that told us multiple locations everywhere they go. In fact, even if you have a headache and you complain, they say, "Oh, the
so for you, the economy is on autopilot."
No. Oh, I'm saying that there's been gains. Of course, we're still operating the IMF program. He himself, the president, said last year, I can't remember the occasion.
So on one hand, you agree that there are gains. On the other hand, they said there's nothing new.
But what is new? What is new? I'm saying that the president himself last year.
In that of us, I would see common saying your qua any easy. This way politicians who buy na be new the Egyapa Mercer de ne party ni power into all can semwa a man in Crawford who saw kasa but Loki say kase yet nothing there ya analyzing your man. You can tell say this man is doing blunt politics. Only no credit pass will try and throw the Ghana for. because Ghana for sebi omampeni Maham aka say ya dream more high and generate free identity. The MPP and NDC people are using it against us. Say can say ko check history, ko check record kakra. COVID-19 is something whereby and it affected not only Ghana, the whole country. The Ukraine and Russia war and also by it affected a lot of countries. Na Ghana nko. Yes, enti say mu use sadie no e de mo nyoma. What I try to tell say when the Iran and US war is happening, the NDC has no right to come and speak. Hana mente politicians na se no. Obi aye nipa neti an also was on to aso. Say na Ghana politics na kwa koyo. And this man himself, he knows there are a lot of things that went on under the Akufo-Addo government. Yeah, can say a boboswa enye fair. Out of war, also then now home. Let me know your opinion in the comments. Me nkasapi, but me fa mo nyeden in see her. Na ma mi hu so adwentre e wo comments ni mo. Yeah, the more updates, more gist, eba wakwe.